Hello, class. Welcome to Case Study 1, which is part of our curriculum. And also thank you for taking the time to actually view today's class on over YouTube as we've uploaded this. So let me just share my screen with you and we can talk about really what is a deliverable for Case Study 1. So on the syllabus, you might have noticed there's actually um, a wording about case studies, and over the course of the semester, there's going to be 2 case studies you guys are expected to do individually. These case studies are going to be meant to like solidify what you've been learning in class and also what you've been discussing in class. So building on things that we've talked about this week and about smart cities and what we've discussed in the Wednesday class about, we'll talk about those types of we'll talk about case studies here. But the idea is to solidify the stuff that we've learned with respect to cities and complexity. So 2 topics are going to be used this semester. The first and is to give you really to test your understanding and also to test your to make sure that you can carry out time management skills, things that we've learned so far in class, and also presentation skills, and also skills that you'll need throughout your university career, which is basically writing little short papers and so forth. So the first case study, is what I alluded to in the previous slide, really, is to build upon a smart city initiative of your choice. So in class, we've talked about what is a smart city, how smart cities are utilizing technology to better understand them. We've also linked to different organizations. So, for example, how IBM is using smart cities, or how smart cities is being used in Rio de Janeiro by IBM, or in Barcelona, or in Singapore, or in any city, right? If you just Google smart cities and a city of your choice, you'll probably find loads and loads of examples, right? And if you don't know how to Google, you can also use, say, Google Scholar, right, with respect to this type of thing. So, and by the way, what I'm talking about today, and something to give you some insights into this, under weekly modules on the class website, if you go down to smart cities and real-time cities, under Friday's class, you'll see a link to some movies from IBM. One talking about Barcelona, which is IBM's more of a promotional package about what is a smart city, while Barcelona is more of a ground up type of initiative to looking at smart city concepts, while Singapore is sort of using smart city concepts and also modeling and simulation to look at cities. But these are provided for you, give you insights onto what type of concepts or things can be explored within smart city initiatives, right? But if I just Google, for example, something simple, and I have no idea how this is going to work, but if I do smart city New York, for example, I know several of you in class are from New York City, you can spell New York. You can sort of see quite a few articles about smart cities and concepts about that in Google Scholar, right? If you want to, right? Or if I went to just Google itself, and then search for smart cities, New York. Again, I'll get examples of different types of smart city concepts, including ones from, I'll say, New York City is using smart energy or clean technology, things like that, to help build. This is from, New York City government, nyc.gov. There's lots of examples. Just explore smart city concepts within inside of these things. So the idea is, what if you take smart cities, companies, and a city of your choice, and see how a city is using smart city technology to help improve upon it. What's your deliverable for this case study? It's really simple. It's 2 pages, right? But please only submit a Word document or a PDF. Nothing else will be accepted on this. I would like you to have at least 3 citations or 3 references in this, and have a clear bibliography. And I'll go through these deliverables specifically in the next few slides. I would like to have one figure, and that figure should be cited in the text. What that means is, you have a figure, you have a figure caption, figure 1, should Smart City Concepts New York City would be the caption or something like that. And then you say, as shown in figure 1 in the text. And then you cross-reference that. It's the common norm in journal papers and things like that, or any types of academic writing. Your paper needs a clear and concise title. So it might be something like, smart governance or smart city governance in Rio de Janeiro or whatever you think is a clear and concise title. I'll leave that up to you. And also, I want you to provide a very brief summary of the city name, its location, its population. Why should we really be interested in this city? Or anything like that. Give some context to this. And also, the most important thing is this paper of 2 pages must discuss how the city of your choice is using some sort of smart city technology and use appropriate references. More importantly, do not do any plagiarism. We have the honor, we don't want to have situations where you guys run into plagiarism and get into trouble and then potentially get kicked off, get disciplined from the university, and also kicked out potentially of the university for plagiarism cases. So no cutting and pasting from Wikipedia or any other types of sources. We check how you upload things. We can check plagiarism by running your papers through plagiarism software, which is built into Blackboard. So when you submit your papers, we'll also double check that there's no plagiarism in your papers, right? So make sure that's not the case. So we don't want to have any plagiarism issues, do we? But the question is, how do we build on university resources to do this, right? So one of the key things the university has is the library. I don't know if anyone who's actually been to the library and looked at the books or other electronic resources. Even like you can use the university to look at newspapers, right? So if you want to read the Washington Post or New York Times, they have subscriptions, so that's quite cool, right? You can also have ways of citing text. So one of the key deliverables is that you must have free references cited in the text. What that means is you might have something smart written, also something written, and then you have a citation, and then something else written and another citation, and then something else written and another citation. So here we have a book that I wrote with some friends of mine, Nick, Ed, and Alison Heppenstall. While I also have something here with respect to a website. A lot of times I might cite something from the web, like Wikipedia or the BBC, and something else might be cited from another paper that we've written. So these are my citations, right? And these are how you write them in your bibliography. So if you look, you'll see how I have citations in the text and how I have the citations actually in the reference format itself in the bibliographies, right? The university has great resources on how to cite things. And I don't mind how you cite the papers, but they have to be consistently cited and use a specific format. So either the EPA, American Physiological Association format, or the MLA, Modern Language Association, Chicago format, or whatever. If these don't mean anything to you, if you click on see this link, University Library, and I put a link to this, citing sources, have a whole bunch of documentation on how to cite a paper, or how to cite a journal paper, or how to cite newspaper articles. So when was it written in different formats, American Psychological and so forth. Chicago, I like the Chicago style myself. There's lots of different ways of citing different formats, and basically you should really learn how to cite properly so you don't ever run into problems of plagiarism and things like that. Or if you want to cite in text, so when you're writing something, different formats, APA, MLA, Chicago, will have different ways of citing an author. So Denny 2000 writes this, right? Or you can have it written this way if it's a quote. So here someone's taken a quote from Denny and pasted it directly into the document. That's not plagiarism because it's quoted. It has an opening quote and an end quote. And also it has its page number where it comes from. So that's not plagiarism because it's appropriately cited, right? Just always be kind of careful of the citations versus just cutting and pasting, which is bad form, and you should never do that. If you want to cite a conference paper, or a magazine article, or a website, an online source, the university gives you these different types of formatting options, right? So please utilize citing sources from university to get you into speed with this referencing style. And as I say, you might have different preferences for different types of style. So you might want to do MLA, Modern Language Association. Here's an example of MLA and how you can do that. So basic formatting is, if I'm having some type of in-text citation, you write it like this. If you have two authors, you write it like this. And here's an example of how it's done. So university is giving you lots of resources to do this. And there's also online movies and things like that that the university gives you. And again, I put links to these resources. Again, under Friday's class, we have links to university resources. This is the general page. This is to the MLA page that I've just shown you on the class website, right? So we have these types of things, right? So your idea is you're going to write a case study about smart cities. You're going to have free references in the text, right? And those references are going to be in a bibliography or your references at the bottom of your paper. At the end of this talk, I'll show you what the paper looks like. Why does citation matter? Citation allows readers to double check the work you state. So if you say the earth is flat, I don't trust you because you are not the expert on the world, right? But if you were the expert on the world, or you're citing somebody who is the world's definitive expert on X. So for example, you might cite me, Crux, as on agent-based modeling, because that's what I'm known for, right? So it might be Crux says agent-based modeling is great. And I probably have written that somewhere. Crux 2019 or something. The world's great. But if you read any paper, so example, this is a paper, this one paper that we wrote with respect to cities and the challenges cities are facing with respect to slums. You can sort of see I make statements, I support those statements with appropriate references, and then cite these references in the text that's appropriate to this, right? And the idea is we use this type of referencing style and then the references themselves to show how we can cite different textual data. I also said one of the deliverables is that you have a figure in your table, and that figure is cited in the text. A figure can be a screenshot, so something that you see online, or it can be a figure, say, from Wikipedia, or anything, right? Or the website of interest, right? So here is a figure from IBM in 2021 from the Smart Cities Initiative. Here's a reference to it, which is formatted using a referencing style. I say where it comes from. I say what it's about. And I also say the date when I accessed it, right? So this was accessed last year. It doesn't matter when you accessed it or how you're referencing your styles, but as long as you're consistent with referencing style, that is fine. As long as you demonstrate that you're not coming with wool over someone's eyes and this is your work, that's okay. I also say one of the deliverables is that the text has to be cited in the figure caption the figure has to be cited in the text, as shown in figure 1 below, or never say 1 below, sorry, as shown in figure 1. So I say blah, 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 as shown in figure 1. That's my in-text citation, right? So that covers this one. You have one figure which has to be cited in the text, right? So there's that. So figure captions are always cited in the text. So taking a paper I wrote on slums recently with a friend, Ron Mahabir, and some other colleagues of mine. Here we have a figure. It's figure 1, our case study area. We're looking at slums and informal settlements in Kenya, specifically in Nairobi, Mombasa, and in Kimsu. And we say, blah, blah, study area, blah, 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 blah. Figure 1 shows the location of these 3 case studies. This figure 1 is cross-referencing to this figure. So this is what we have to do. We have to add a figure, and then link that figure to the document, right? Do that, you're good, right? To sort of clarify what I've just said in the last couple of minutes, I've also uploaded onto the class website under Friday's class, this one called casestudy.doc, which is our Word document of basically this thing here, right? That sort of shows you what is needed in the document. So if we go back to the presentation here, I have a name, so I know who wrote it, me. You do this thing similar. You have a smart and clever title, obviously, you have a clear introduction. City X is located, blah, 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 has a population of blah, 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 whatever you want to have there. And maybe it might be a figure, it might reference where the city is, or it might be, a map of where the city is in relation to other cities or other places in the country, right? But it says City X is located as shown in figure 1. And now figure 1 have a nice clear caption, figure 1, location of City X. I say where the source came from, so maybe I borrowed it from the BBC. That BBC is then referenced here because there's a consistent referencing here. I have in-text citation, so one reference here, one reference here, one reference here. That's 3 references. These 3 references are cited in the text below. 1, 2, 3. Of course, there's only 1 page. You guys need to do 2 pages using this type of idea. Okay, so your deliverable this week is basically 2-page summary of how a certain city uses smart city concepts to better understand it. Has 3 references to different text written about it. You don't take it all from one place. It could be to IBM, it could be to things that you found on Google Scholar or Google. And it also has at least 1 figure. Maybe the figure is a map of where the city is or whatever. Has a clear concise title, has a summary of the city, its population, etc. And leave a summary to what we're going to include up to you. And also discuss how the city is using smart cities. And so spend time to develop this type of idea. If you do have any questions about case study 1, feel free to email me. Also, I'm going to set up a Zoom meeting because next week, as I say, I'm going to be away. Also, next Wednesday, I'll hold an optional Zoom meeting. So if you have any questions about case study 1 now, or the portfolio that I'll introduce on Monday, feel free to join this Zoom meeting. The links to this Zoom meeting are going to be available. I'll put a link to this under next week's class on Wednesday. But if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And all the material, as I say, is available on the class website under Friday's thing. So we have movies talking about different cities and how they're using smart city technology. We have the case study document, which is what I've just shown you with respect to what I've shown you, what we had there about referencing with big captions and so forth, and different links to different university resources for in-text citations and so forth, right? Also, yeah. So, and if you are interested, if you use Papersafe from Google Scholar, which is quite interesting. So, for example, if you did smart cities in New York, if you take a paper, say you want to cite this paper, you press this little citation icon here, and it pops up the paper reference formatted the way that your reference style is. So if you're using MLA, APA, Chicago, you could copy this and put that in your references and then cite that in the text. Using the Chicago referencing style. So Google Scholar helps you on that issue if you want to like that. Anyway, that's case study 1. Hopefully it's clear what needs to be done. Oh, I didn't say when this is deliverable. So basically, I'm going to give you 2 weeks to work on this. So not this Friday, but the following Friday, November the 11th. This is going to be due then. And I'm also going to allow you to use this as an example of a portfolio, an artifact in your portfolio case, which we'll talk more about on Monday. But please, 2 pages, following the guidelines at the front, and everything should be good. Anyway, I hope this was clear, and hopefully this stuff, everything will be good. So good luck. And if you have any questions, email me or join the Zoom meeting on Wednesday.